So here's something that's actually quite interesting. They've done studies where they've had participants stay in a room for 15 minutes. These participants in particular were given the option to end the experiment early if they did one thing: administer an electrical shock to themselves. Now, most people, let's be honest, don't enjoy electric shocks, but what was found is that a majority of the participants chose to actually have an electric shock over having to stay the full 15 minutes. But it does kind of make sense in theory. And the reason being is that pleasure is obviously on the opposite end to pain. So there is some utility in that explanation. So for example, when I go to the gym and I'm doing some bag work in boxing, when I'm punching so much that my shoulders are starting to feel like they're going to tear in half, the relief afterwards is actually quite nice. So that's actually why I enjoy doing it. But at the same time, it's quite worrying that people can't be alone with their own thoughts at the end of the day. That's quite troubling. Here are 3 ways your thoughts are controlling you. Now, I think there's a very common thing that all of us British people like to do. We absolutely love to have a moan. And I was kind of reflecting upon this the other day, or speak to my mum about something, and she pretty much couldn't not be telling this story without looking at it in a negative way. And it just got me thinking that we really often do look at life in such a black and white type of way. It's either all good or it's terrible. And that's the thing, is that negative things in your life aren't to be ignored. I'd absolutely love to have a life where it's free of discomfort and pain, but that's just not the way the cookie crumbles, unfortunately. Like, if you were to twist your ankle playing football, you'd probably be very careful about playing football and also putting any sort of pressure on your ankles like ever again. But my point is that the more power that we give to negatives, the more control that they exert over us, which I think is a really pointless exercise, and it doesn't actually serve you any benefit, like, at all. Okay, so this is riding off the last point, but this is the idea that we will always exaggerate things to be better or worse than they actually are. But catastrophizing is where you set up the worst possible outcome for what is unfolding in front of you. Say, for instance, you met someone and you're dating, and it's the first early stages, and boy, we all love those stages, you know, the rose-colored glasses, everything's just so new, exciting. God. But then you just start to notice a couple things that set off the red flag alarm bells. So this might be that she doesn't like your favorite food. Maybe she doesn't also smoke cigarettes like you do. So what you might actually do is actually end the relationship there and then, just because you've got all these red flags and you're visualizing the worst possible ending for this relationship. But what needs to happen in future is this idea that you have to accept that negative things are possible. They can happen. But just because they can happen doesn't mean that they will. Back when I was at uni, me and my mates used to have this game. It's called Paranoia. It's one of those games that you find out a lot about people, really. The way it works is that you'll be in a room with a group of people in a circle, and one person per round will turn to the person next to them, whisper in their ear a question. Then that person has to point to someone in the room that they feel like that question relates most to. Then that person who's been pointed to has 2 choices: to drink or find out what the question was with everybody listening. And if you know each other really, really well, that's you can roast people so badly in front of everyone. It's great. It's just some of the most horrible stuff. Jesus. But I feel like in life, that's the way people can operate, is in this paranoid mindset. That everyone's playing this game and playing Chinese whispers like around you. Like maybe you're that person who at work forgot to save their Word document at the end of the day and had all of their progress wiped out. Then the next day when you walk in, everyone's just going like, oh, isn't that guy who forgot to save his work? Oh, what a moron. How does he work here? Man. And that's the thing, we're constantly trying to put ourselves in other people's shoes. And that's the thing, it clouds your judgment. But if you're continually thinking that people are gossiping about you, you're just going to reflect that back at people. Like, you're going to be really shifty, you're not going to trust anyone, you're going to be low-key, just a bit angry and a bit frustrated with people, and people are going to see that. When at the end of the day, all this is happening in your own head, nowhere else. And if you're new to this channel, my name's Chris. If you like this content, I make this weekly. And if you haven't already, like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, bye-bye.